Today I'm going to tell you about the weirdest bank robbery in the world. It happened in Dijon, South Korea in 2019. 140 kilometers south of Seoul, a thief was getting ready to rob a bank. His anxiety was nowhere to be seen. He wasn't worried, nor was he afraid of anything, and it seemed like it didn't matter to him whether he got caught or not. It seemed like he had been planning this for quite some time. The bank manager had everything figured out. He knew all the procedures and the insignificant details, almost as if he had been watching the bank for a long time. He had calculated that the police would take exactly 4 minutes to reach the bank in case the alarm went off. Obviously, 4 minutes is a very short amount of time. This short amount of time could potentially put his life in danger. But if everything went according to his plan, everything would be worth the risk, as he could live comfortably for the rest of his life. As part of his preparation, he bought a knife from someone he deeply trusted, although he never intended on using it. According to his plan, just the threat was going to be enough. After months of meticulous planning, the most unusual bank robber in history stepped into the bank and began to move around amongst the customers and workers, his hand always on the knife in his pocket. There was no room for hesitation or retreat. He approached the closest teller's window and pulled out a piece of paper from his pocket, handed it to the employee and told her, "No one will get hurt if you do what I tell you to do." What she needed to do was follow the instructions on the paper very precisely. The employee read the paper and was surprised. The guy seemed very respectable and calm, and the way he gave her the note. She hesitated a bit, but when she saw the knife, she did as instructed. Now time started passing and the thief was waiting. It was not long before the customers noticed him and felt something was strange. They saw the knife and were terrified. No one had any idea what this man was planning. Everyone was scared, and every second that passed, the situation was becoming more intense. As expected, the police arrived at the scene, but Mark was less than 4 minutes from when the thief entered the bank. The person who reported it called the police. The thief entered the bank and gave the note to the employee. But who was he and how did this get reported? Let's just say that this was anticipated from the beginning. What are you going to do in 4 minutes? You're planning to rob a bank. The police surrounded the place and the thief confronted them. He had very few options and he had no chance of escape. They asked him to drop the knife and get on the ground, and each time the police got closer to him, they noticed something strange about the whole situation. The guy was standing there cool as a cucumber, holding a knife in his hand, and was silent. He did from him, and suddenly he did something strange. He lifted the knife and put it on his stomach and stabbed. But it didn't happen. He has something. The police got closer to him and discovered that the knife was not real, so they attacked him and fixed him. They arrested him and took him to the police car. Now the bank customers and employees are safe, and the police have started an investigation with the people who were in the bank, and the most repeated thing from all the people who talked to them and asked them that he is a thief. It was very calm. Even the police themselves saw with their own eyes when they entered the bank. The guy was very calm, and he did not make any sudden or aggressive movement. But the strangest thing they heard from among all the people who talked to them are the ones who were told by the employee and who told them that she is the one who I called the police and reported him if you thought that it was normal, because she was the first one to deal with the thief. It is normal that she is the one who reports, so you are wrong, because the words that the employee said made them. They know that what happened wasn't just a normal bank robbery, or let's talk about what it wasn't. A bank robbery from the beginning, if you remember. At the beginning of the story, I told you that the thief, when he entered the bank, had a specific plan and was not afraid or nervous, and gave the employee a paper and talked. "No one will be hurt and everything will be fine if you follow the instructions exactly the paper it said on it. Call the police." He wasn't scared of getting caught. He was trying to get the thief caught. He picked this bank specifically because it was the nearest bank branch to a police station. He reckoned it'd take them about 4 minutes to arrive. If it had been a different branch, the police could have been delayed more, and it would have become a situation he wouldn't know how to handle because he's not a criminal to begin with. All he really wanted was for it to be over as quickly as possible because, like I told you, the payoff was going to set him up for life. But what is this payoff? This is what the police officer sitting with him in the investigation room was trying to figure out. The officer wanted to know what was the matter and needed answers because something didn't add up. There was surely a different goal aside from the theft. So he asked him, "What's the deal with the note? What is the story of the knife that appeared to be a game? What did you do today? And why do you want the police to catch you, the thief?" At that time, he didn't give him a clear answer, and all he told him was that I am a thief and I tried to rob a bank. It is supposed that the prison punishment is to imprison me. I am not afraid of the policeman. Of course, he will not be satisfied with such an answer. So he pressured him and used all the methods. He reassured him once and his fear once, and with his experience he made him explode and say all that inside him, and what he said was unbelievable. He said that he has a problem and the neutral way to solve it was he's robbing a bank and imprisoning the thief. His name is John. He was fired from his job lately and this thing destroyed him. He tried to find a job in other places, but he was constantly rejected. The unemployment rate in South Korea was uncle, it increases terribly, but also the policeman and me and you and anyone who hears this talk will ask himself, someone lost his job and wanted money and went to rob a bank. Okay, why do you want the police to catch you? John continued. He talked and said, I don't want money, and I am not a criminal, and I was raised much better than that. But the options in front of me were few. After I lost my job, most of my time became at home, and I became a man of my age. In my 30s, and I still live with my mother, and the situation is very depressing, and on top of that, I suffer from chronic pain in my back. Don't be surprised, the pain that I am living is unbearable, and the most important thing is that it is unbearable, continuous, and I don't stop neither day nor night. I am sitting without work, and my financial situation is bad. I stopped able to be treated with the high unemployment rate. There is pressure on healthcare in the country, and there is no more a way to get approval for my insurance treatment. I completely refuse, and the pain I suffer from is very intense, and I stopped being able to bear it because there are no choices left in front of me, and I don't want to stay in front of my mother all the time. I feel pain while she is sad for me. There is only one place where I can find help. One place possible, take free treatment in a prison clinic. According to the law in South Korea, the government provides healthcare, inclusive of all its citizens. But after unemployment increased, there was discrimination, and healthcare became for the people. Who works and pays taxes, and the rest wants to go to private hospitals, which are very expensive for that. The first place that people think about when they want healthcare is prison. Prison offers excellent healthcare, and people are doing anything to get in there because simply they can't afford it. The costs are outside, and that's what John was thinking about. The hospital and the prison clinic, the place that finally went. He will be relieved of his back pain. Okay, stealing is wrong, and he'll be imprisoned. But as we said in the beginning, if the plan went well in return, he will relieve him to the last day of his life. The policeman was shocked and couldn't believe. What he heard is reasonable. He did all this thing because he hurt his back. All the attempts to rob the banks that... We know that the criminals in it want to run away from the police, and prison now is the theft, was success in it is that he goes to prison. But with all that he did, his plan, and his audacity to implement it, unfortunately also, it didn't work with him. Or yes, and his plan is supposed to succeed and they will condemn him and send him to jail as soon as possible. But unfortunately, John wasn't very smart, and his confession to the police made them accuse him only by intimidation. He didn't steal a penny, and he didn't hurt anyone, and he had no intention of hurting. And the proof is the paper that he gave to the employee. When he entered this paper, showed his intentions from the beginning, and that his goal is not to steal it. Didn't take long before John found himself at home too. Once with his mother and his backache, he thinks, where is the mistake that became in the plan? How did you get back home? The same person who is unemployed and who doesn't have money. The date is almost the end of 2019. And the situation, like he is, but like any one of us living this hard life, he said, come on, I try hard and find a job and make a new start in my life. But unfortunately at that time, John and the whole world, he was welcoming the new year 2020. The year that is not only John, almost all the planet Earth is sitting at home. This was our story until today, and none of you thinks that it is a hard world for him to live. We are living it, loves only the strong. So be strong so that you can stand in her face to those who are seeing me. For the first time, don't forget to subscribe to the channel.